Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the final round, or the final race of the first round of the knockout group stage between NRX and CSR. I'm your host, Smithy, back from last night in what was an incredible race between ERL and SLR. Thankfully, I'm not by myself tonight. I do have a co-commentator if he wants to introduce himself.
I'm back.
He's back from the dead.
I have resurrected, as some may say. But yeah, I'm back. Hi guys.
So as I said, the final race of the first round of the knockout groups. We've had some interesting races so far. We've begun with AMS versus QBR, which I think was the more like obvious win, despite like stewarding or no stewarding happening yet. I think AMS will probably take the win between those two. The other two a little bit more contentious. The big race of the round was obviously Decorus PSR, of which there was a few incidents. Decorus did come out as overall winners, but obviously with stewarding we're expecting a few penalties. We actually haven't had a look yet. Stewarding I think is happening Monday, so hopefully there's no huge penalties there. We don't want sort of like a 21-7 sort of results, because that would screw both teams, and you never know, TTM could rise from the ashes and get through that group of death. And then I had the absolute pleasure of watching ERL versus SLR yesterday, which was a chaotic race. If you haven't watched it, make sure after this and then after F1 qualifying you give it a watch. I didn't know what was going on towards the end. I thought SLR had won it, then I thought ERL had won it, then I thought SLR had won it. It was sort of mud, and it included a last lap, last corner overtake as well, which was pretty insane. But SLR did come out winners by just 2 points in that. Obviously that's before stewarding as well, so we'll see what happens there. But as I said, final race of the round, NRX CSR. You got any predictions, mate? How you think this is gonna go?
Well, it's gonna be no offense to CSR, I think, but I do think it's gonna be an NRX win. They've got a very strong lineup here today. And quick note on the lobby: we'll be waiting a minute or two as Loveland just popped the shop. But
Lovely, it's incredible. Well, speaking of lineup, let's quickly have a look at the lineup. There's obviously been one change. I believe it's, or it actually might be a double change. Yeah, it's sort of weird. NRX have changed their lineup slightly, so we've got, I think it's Blaze that's dropped out, and Loveland has come in the Mercedes. Square has gone into the Alpine, and Jacob is into the Mercedes. So a little bit of change to when the graphic was made. And then CSR, the lineup should be exactly the same. But looking at the lineups, who have you got for gonna stand out, get a pole position, and then eventually win the race?
this is an obvious answer, but it's gonna be Yan or Square for the poll. I reckon maybe Zach on CSR side can maybe make some surprises. But I reckon the first row will be Yan and Square in some form of order.
Fair enough. And actually, I was going to say starting time. We are 2 minutes late, but we are loading into the lobby. So once we load in, we'll get swapped over to the live stream. And as always, I love you guys so much that I will warn you when we're transitioning, because I know it's deafening. So I'll give you like a 3-second warning for when that's happening, when we're loading in. And we have wet qualifying, the first one of the round. So right, everyone, hold your ears. We're switching over to the live screen. Okay, cool. Here we go. So everything should be fixed now regarding the overlay. I know there was a few problems with it yesterday. I fixed it on the screen, but it was still a little bit laggy. It should be sorted now, hopefully. But yeah, so first time wet qualifying around Imola, not only in this round, but the first time I've ever seen wet quali in Imola. I was going to talk about the pole times of the last two races. I can't exactly remember what the AMS QBR pole time was. Obviously, it was a 0.6 in the PSR Decorus race, and then it was a 0.9 in the race yesterday between ERL and SLR. Now, I don't know if that's just down to them being 3/10 slower than the eventual pole sitter in the Decorus race, Allison, but they could have been running wet setups, which could have explained it. And speaking of wet setups, it's going to be interesting to see if the race is dry.
Yeah.
They're going to be on the dry setups in the rain, so we could see a few spins.
Smithy, I'm going to pose this question to you now. You posed it to me, I'm going to pose it to you. Now that we know it's wet, who do you think is getting pole? Because I don't reckon many will have practiced it, right?
Yeah, I said this yesterday when I found out that the race was going to be wet between ERL and SLR. I'm like, how many drivers, when they practice for these events, would do a race or a few laps in the rain? Like for you, for example, back when you were racing for ERL or something, would you do wet qualifying or wet practice, or was it just all out on the dries?
It was all out dries. The only practices we did were dry qualies, really, and a few races.
Yeah,
So
I don't exactly know who's good in the wet. I think if you were just posing the question to me anyway, who would I think would get pole? I think it's your safe bet is probably Square. I know he's absolutely rapid. I'm not as in tuned as everyone else is in the community, despite owning a tournament for almost 3 seasons. I don't know. I know who's incredibly quick, and that's about it. But there could be some hidden gems in here. You know, CSR. I know everyone's gonna be backing NRX to win this race. I think that's the safe bet. But you know, CSR are into the knockouts for a reason. You know, they got through the group stage, so I think they're going to be strong. And obviously, it's just down to getting as many points as possible. But you know, the difference is with the knockout groups and the normal groups was, you know, you could lose a race, but as long as you picked up some good points, you still had a good chance. But with only one team going through the knockout groups, you know, you really have to be picking up the win in pretty much both your races. Otherwise, you pose the threat of going out. So we have our first person starting their lap. I believe it is NRX Critch. So we're on board with him now.
It is.
So we're going to see drivers go a lot slower around certainly the first 2 chicanes, coming up to Villeneuve now. I think, if anything, like I said, I haven't done any laps around Imola in the rain. I don't know if you have either. I know the main talking point of an Imola quali lap is, you know, if you nail those first 2 chicanes, you're in a good position to set a good lap. With the rain just slowing things down, do you think it's easier for drivers to set fairly competitive times in the rain around Imola?
No. I've done a few like open lobbies where it's ended up wet, and you may think it's a bit easier, but there's a lot of choke points, especially Aqua Minerale. That's still a choke point even in the wet. There's like a massive lock-up potential there, dry and wet.
Mm-hmm.
And with the camber of that corner being how it is, you could easily lose the rear end, like we just seen Critch do through the Variant Delta.
Yeah, he also did it on the exit of Aqua Minerale as well, while you were saying that as well. So I think obviously downforce is going to be an issue in qualifying, as we presume the race is going to be a dry, so a lot of these guys are going to be running their dry setups in the rain, which is, as we said, always risky for losing your back end and sending you in for a spin. But Critch is going to cross the line. It's going to be a 1:23.7 dead. No idea if that's a good time, but it's been beaten by his teammate. 23.4.
Quick note, I don't know if you've seen it, but someone's put in the I think Sam's put in the chat that there's apparently no game volume.
There's no game volume. Why is there no game volume?
Yeah, there isn't. I've just checked. It's like very low.
Right, I've turned it up. Let me know if that's any better, guys. Thank you for the feedback. It's always good. Send feedback if you can't hear us, if we're too loud or if the game's too loud. Just let us know if you can.
It's useful when the COCOM is staring at chat as well.
That is helpful. See, it's different. It's nice having a COCOM that can stare at chat most of the time.
2 monitors set up OP, that's all I'm going to say.
I've only got one. I'm an absolute screeb in that department. Well, I have 2 because I've got to watch the race, but I don't have a dual setup.
Looks like Critch on another lap, and it looks cleaner.
Well, we got a 23. We got a 23-0 from Jacob.
He's half
there.
a second up. Critch is half a second up, going through Variante Alta. Not a rear end loss through there that time, so that's going to be like a maybe half tenth to a tenth gain.
Have we had a little bit of a moment down in towards turn 1? We have.
Who's that? Is that Zach? It's both McLarens and a Williams, and a Mercedes off. Loveland and D-Money are out of the session.
What has gone on here? So I think 2.
As Critch goes P2 with 22.8 behind Square.
I think 2 CSR drivers came together towards the Tamburello, and I think Loveland might have dropped it himself on his second fast lap.
Yeah, that's weird. I've not seen that.
I saw it on the minimap and was going to change it over, but no idea what's happened there.
So D-Money's crashed into someone. I've just seen it back on the stream. And Loveland, yeah, I think he did. Hi Stabby, by the way, I see you saying it. And he says to increase the volume
of the game. Why?
Yeah, I've just seen that in chat, and he's only just seen the crash, I think. So who we got on a lap? Square's on another lap. He's 3/10 up.
Yeah, I was going to say before Carnage kicked off towards Tamburello, I was going to say it's probably drivers are going to be doing back-to-back laps, aren't they?
Yeah, I only just realised Nips's went P2.
So Snips has gone P2 for CSR. We've got Square crossing the line. He's just gone quicker with a 22.2.
Snips invalidated. Richard on a slow lap. We've got NRM down into the final 2 corners. About to come across the line.
Let's see what he can do. He's actually going to come into the pits.
Yeah,
he might have improved, actually.
He's in 3/10 up, out of Tosa. A hairpin at the end of Sector 1. We've also got Jan on a lap going into Aqua Minerale. Let's see if he loses rear end in the exit. And
Quite
he doesn't
tidy.
actually. Took it very safe.
Yeah,
Just
safe.
I
think the safe approach is always good, because if you're going all guns blazing, you just have that snap of that back end. You've just lost all of the time that you've just gone through that corner.
So yeah, Jan's on for P2 right now. Easton's around for P3-ish. So it's actually really close in the rain. I was actually expecting it to be a bit of a broader gap than you might expect.
I think it's important as well to remember that because we're on wet qualifying, people are going to get choice tyres for the race as Jan goes into P2, 22.3. But yeah, everyone's going to start on any tyre they want. So, you know, we talk about the advantage that starting outside of the top 10 has when you can start on those mediums, as we saw yesterday. You could start on the hards, but with everyone having that choice, it's really going to come down to pure race pace now. It's not really going to come down to strategy.
Yeah. And Stabby, thanks for that. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that reads Snipes, what you've said. You said it's not Snips. So it's Snipes. Well, I read it like that because, you know, I don't know how to say it. And I just read the Y as like an it sound.
Critch has just come around the final corner, lost his back end a little bit out of the exit of Ravazza. Doesn't go quick, it was actually a 10th down on that lap.
Okay, so Maitland just said apparently in Tier 1, 2 CSR drivers, Zach and D-Money, took each other out, and then Loveland couldn't see anything and died too.
Yeah, so that's what I thought. So I thought 2 CSR drivers might have tripped up each other down towards Tamburello, and then what, Loveland just got stuck in the rain, or?
I don't know, maybe he just got like...
Because it looked like he dropped it on the exit of Tamburello, because he was in the wall.
Yeah. Okay, thanks, Stabby. Right.
So who knows what's happened there?
Adams, is he up? I don't know, let me have a look. I just slightly missed. He is up, and he's nearly in the wall. Actually, no, he wasn't actually up. He's done a 0.4.
Snipes is 3/10 up through the first sector, which would put him around the front row at the moment. So I'm going to stay on board with him at the moment. He just extends there.
Just where Landon Norris is.
So not ideal for him.
But I hate it.
Who else is on a lap that's not invalidated? We've got a few invalidations out there. Adams, Adams also, I don't know why I thought I said that wrong. He's up on his time, but he's down in P9 though. Didn't make too much time up, never mind. He's now 10.3 seconds down, so he's back down from that lap.
And I have claimed a track map. That was Piratella, okay. I've claimed a track map. This will be useful. Where's that? Where's...
So we've got 2 drivers for CSR that haven't set a lap yet. Bearing in mind that we have lost a CSR driver and we have lost an NRX driver due to that collision early on down towards turn 1. So they will more than likely take the final 2 places down the bottom. So a good opportunity for CSR to get some more drivers towards the top 6. We see Matthew Conbeer there losing his back end. Manages to keep it out of the wall. He is now facing backwards on the track. He's going to let the McLaren go most likely. Hopefully he gets moving soon. Yeah, I was about to say, hopefully he gets moving soon and doesn't get disqualified. That would be worst case scenario.
And that McLaren was Zach on an outlap. The only McLaren left in this session. Got Square on a lap.
Yeah, so our provisional pole sitter at the moment, Square, is starting his next lap. Let's see what he can do.
And
he invalidates the very first corner into Tamburello and almost losing his back end for good measures on the exit as well. So not ideal for him.
We've got NRM into Tosa, 2.5 tenths up on his lap.
Yep, on board with him now. We'll see what he can do. We've already seen invalidations. See if he can nail it this time.
He's made it through. Just.
Double right-hander coming up next. So easy to lose your back end on the exit. We've seen that a few times in the last 3 races. Does fit very, very nicely though. Could be on for a decent lap here.
half second up, coming into the very anti-outer.
It's going to net him around P3 at the moment, especially if he can gain some more time in the last sector. Just Ravazza to go, pretty much. 2 corners, and then he will set his lap time. Surely on for a good lap if he can nail these final 2 corners now.
He's lucky. Jan will give him a cheeky little toe. Looks like he won't.
I think NRM's going to be on for a good lap here. Let's see what he can get as he crosses the line. It will be P3, 22.4 for him.
As Jan did start his up there into the Tamburello chicane of turns 1 and 2.
Easton had a little bit of Tokyo drifting out of the final corner there, but he's starting his lap. That was on his out lap, so.
Oh no, that's actually Treguardo chicane. Okay, interesting. Into Villeneuve now, very good run. Oh, he's off!
Just avoiding the wall. He took a lot of curb on the entrance to Villeneuve there, so thankfully keeps it out of the wall.
Out of the way of his teammates.
But that's kind of messed up his lap.
Got Critch on a lap into Treguardo and Tamburello. It's a pretty decent little run. And Loveland is asking for justice for himself. Love that.
Justice for Loveland.
And Critch is about a 10th up as he runs through Tosa now.
He's going to need to pick up some more time. I presume in the wets, actually, most of the time will probably be made up through the second sector as grip just gets a little bit better. Especially through the double right-hander. There are yellow flags ahead. I think that's just drivers slowing down to let those fast cars through. And Critch having a massive bit of oversteer there. Through Piratella now.
And up to Minerali. Not the best of runs, but it's alright. Didn't lose back in too much. Is he still going to be up? No, he's just down. But there's room for improvement in the final sector, of course, with 2 corners. And the exit this chicane being involved.
He'll definitely go again. Time to be gained through those 2 corners that he dropped that back end of. So
yeah, for sure.
He should go for a back-to-back lap. A Square going even quicker. I was about to say Easton went quicker, 2/10 quicker up into P3. Square's gone even quicker with a 22.1.
And we're going to see Critch come across the line. Does he improve? No, he does not. Just misses out on improving. We've got Snipes just down out of Tosa. Only about 900ths down as he runs into Piratella.
Snipes is the leading CSR car at the moment. He's looking to take the fight to NRX. So.
You completely forgot about Easton, unless he's NRX. No. Easton.
Oh no, Easton is, yeah. Do you know what it is? It's the Williams and the Alpine looking familiar.
And Snipes backed off. Is Easton still on a push lap? He is. Coming out of Piratella down towards Aqua Minerali now. Does he lock up? Heading into Aqua Minerali.
It's a little bit deep, yeah.
On the sausage curbs. And that's his lap done and dusted.
Interestingly enough, doesn't invalidate though. That's Cody's track limits being as impressive as ever there.
NRM with a good run out of Aqua Minerali. Coming down into the very anti-outer now. He's 2/10 down. So he might not improve this lap. But if he takes this last sector, very nice. That was a very nice, very anti-outer.
Critch is 7/10 up on his current lap. His teammate behind him.
P2?
Well, 7/10 up. That's going to put him around about pole position at the moment. Can he maintain it through the final 2 corners now? Through Ravazza he goes. A little bit of a lock up there. Obviously, it's a little bit more acceptable to lock up in the wet tyres, especially into the entrance to Ravazza.
Oh,
a little
nice
bit of a snap.
Catch. That was nice. And he comes across the line. It's a 22.1. He misses out on provisional pole by 5 milliseconds. 7 milliseconds, sorry.
7 milliseconds, but I don't think he'll care too much because it is his teammate ahead of him. So it's an NRX 123 at the moment. There's someone in the gravel. There's Jan in the gravel into P3.
Speaking of gravel, I have more explanation fresh out of Maitland about that crash. So Zach was off the track by turn 1. He was someone was going from D-Money. This is. So Zach was off the track by turn 1, and D-Money was going up to turn 1 starting a lap, and he just came out onto the racing line, and he had nowhere to go. So basically, Zach took his teammate out of qualifying.
I don't think Zach's going to be a very popular boy with those CSR head boffins tonight, taking him and pretty much his teammate out of qualifying. I suppose maybe it's not the worst. Zach's still in qualifying. They managed to take out an NRX driver, so maybe it was a calculated move from CSR.
You know what? It'd be
Who knows?
calculated to pick out your teammate, though. When everyone's got free tyre choice, so P11 and 12 don't really matter as much. We've got Easton about 2/10 up. He's looking to be on for a 0.0 right now, 1.5 tenths up. That's just 0.1. Ignore my maths.
We got NRM coming around the final corner now as well. He's around about 2.5 tenths up, so he's going to be looking towards that front row of the grid as well. Around the final corner, in the run up to the line, will he get into the 21s? He doesn't. It's a 22.2
Let's see, did Easton improve through the two Ravatsas as he comes across the line now? So 22.1, sorry. My reading and speaking is the best today.
But still just 29 milliseconds off pole position. Will he go again? He'll have to go again as a back-to-back lap if he wants to improve on his current time.
Nah, he hasn't got enough fuel. He's out of fuel.
So that will be the end of qualifying for him. Everyone's got to rush around to make their final laps. We'll see who's on a lap. I think it's Snipes, who is currently just under 3/10 up on his time. Coming up to the outer chicane now. He's 2/10 up. So he lost a little bit of time through the second sector. Not exactly the cleanest outer chicane now. Hopefully he hasn't lost too much time. If he's got to find a lot in the final sector to gain one more position. He's about 3.5 tenths down on 5th place Jan in front of him. So he's got to have an absolutely mega final sector. Has he got it though? In the rundown to the line, will he improve on 6th place? He doesn't. Does go a 10th quicker, but not enough to gain any more positions. Zach does go slightly quicker, but nowhere near quick enough to get him off 10th place. NRX Adams has invalidated, so this lap will not count.
And despite his best efforts, I don't think Square will be getting that unless our counter is incorrect as always.
Yeah, we had that problem yesterday. The counter was about, I think, 15 to 20 seconds too early. Who else is on a lap?
If Critch is lucky, he'll get one here. He's pushing for one. I think he does get one because our counter is awful as always.
Yeah, no checkered flags out yet. So I think everyone who crossed the line did get a lap in.
Heading down to I can't even say that anymore. Taking 3rd gear for that extra bit of rotation. 4th gear on the exit, not the best idea. He's sliding, he's in 5th. And out of Tamburello, he's nearly crashed into the barriers.
So that's the end of qualifying for Easton. So he's P3, top of the CSR group at the moment. We've got Matthew coming around the final corner at the moment. Can he go any quicker down in P9? 23.2 is his current time. He goes up to P7, 22.7.
We've got Kenny the S400 up as he just comes out of Toaster down towards Piratella now.
Snipes is going quicker. He gains some time through the last lap. There he goes up to P4, 22.2. Got a McLaren as well. Zach down in P10. There's someone who's lost it. James is in the wall. Zach is going slow into the pits. It's the end of qualifying for him. Got a Red Bull next, NRM.
Yeah. 2/10 up. He's actually on for pole right now. He's on for a 22.003. Can he keep it together through the last corners in the Ravatsas? As we head down in towards them, let's see, does he lock up into Ravatsas? Little bit, but not too much. Very clean run so far. Clips that apex through the final Ravatsa. He comes out of the final Ravatsa, very clean exit. As he comes across the line, it's going to be a 1 minute 22.0, and he takes provisional pole position away from his teammate Square, who's invalidated a 21.8, and Critch is also invalidated. So it looks like NRM will be on pole from Square and Critch.
Yeah, Adams has also invalidated. I think it's just James, who's not going to go any quicker. So that's pretty much the end of qualifying. We almost had our first person into the 21s, but Square invalidates in his lap. So it's a 1-2-3 for NRX. We do have CSR in 4th and 5th, so not all hope is lost for them. They can hopefully take it to the NRX boys in the race. We did lose 2 drivers very early on due to a collision down into turn 1 towards the Tamburello chicane. But here is your confirmation of qualifying. We've got NRM on pole with a 22.0, Square in P2, Critch P3. We've got Easton for CSR, P4, Snipes P5, we've got Jan in P6, Matthew in P7, James P8, Adams in P9, we've got Zach down in P10, and then we lost Loveland and D-Money early on in qualifying due to a crash. Also, Matthew's got a 5-place grid penalty. I presume that's from the turn 1 collision, so he's actually going to drop to the back of the grids. So everyone's going to move up 1 place from that, which doesn't change too much. Adams goes up 1 place.
You think it helps CSR, but it actually negatively affects them.
Well, obviously, it's with choice tyres starting out of the top 10 pretty much means nothing now. Qualifying is very, very important in the rain because you get the choice tyres and it's all about track position into the race. So, have we got a wet race? We do not. No. It looks fairly dry.
A little bit of cloud cover.
Well, it's sort of the same conditions that we had yesterday. It started raining towards the end, but We haven't had anything in chat from the likes of Loveland to tell us that there is rain coming.
Maitland putting out the German chants, but no offense to him, I have my bets on he doesn't know how to say the second word in that.
The second, Unabsteigbaren.
Yeah, fair enough.
Don't know any German, but
Well, I'm partly German and I'm doing GCSE, so.
I would have loved to have done GCSE German. I had to do Spanish.
Why Spanish?
It was Spanish or French, and I chose Spanish because I was told Spanish was easier than French. Fucking wasn't. I would have wanted to do German.
German's a goated language.
Yeah, it's also an aggressive language, which is why I love it.
And also, most of the words are pretty close to English because English comes from German.
Yeah, that's true. I pity any like non-English person having to learn English because the English language is so like complicated.
I mean, my German teacher, she actually lived in Germany for a few years and taught in a German school. So, but she's fluent in many languages. So,
I'd love to be fluent in other languages, but I'm a boring old English person who just speaks English.
I'm like semi-fluent in German. Not the best, but not the worst.
I'm semi-fluent in bullshit. That's pretty much it. I can speak English and bullshit.
The best languages.
Exactly.
Anyway, Loveland has told JN to go in 2 minutes' time.
Right, so let's just have a look at the race director to see what tyres everyone is starting on. We actually do have a mixture. NRM currently has the softs fitted. Squares on the mediums, Critches on the mediums, Easton's on the mediums. We've got Snipes and Jan on the softs. James on the mediums. Adams on the mediums. Zach on the mediums. Loveland on the softs. We've got D-Money on the hards. We've got Hard up to there. And then Matthew, who obviously took that 5-place grid penalty, down in P12 starting on the softs. It'll be interesting to see if any of them stick with the softs or they haven't changed their strategy yet. I would have thought you would want to start on the mediums because with no tyre wear, surely medium soft is going to be the fastest strategy, right?
Yeah.
You extend those mediums, you've got fresh mediums, fresh softs. I can understand the hard strategy if there's like a safety car, maybe. But starting on the softs, I don't really understand that one, to be honest. But, you know, I'm not an incredibly fast racer, so I wouldn't know these things. So we'll trust in them to make the right decision. So we should be starting in the next couple of seconds. What is your prediction for the race, mate? Who are you going to go for the win with NRM on pole? Do you think he'll go for the win, or do you think there's going to be a little bit of a shake-up?
Driver or team? Driver or team?
Give me both. Go on. There's be 25 seconds.
Okay, so team, I'm going to take NRX, and driver, I'm going to go for a long shot. I'm going to say Easton.
So you're going to go NRX to win overall, but you're going to go for a CSR win.
Yeah, I reckon I'm going to be weird with that. Matt Bell, ich bin sehr gut, und du?
Incredible. Aiden, do you want to get us started on the race then? I'll let you
Sure.
let you have the honours down into the run towards
Can't wait
turn
for
one.
the gap between the 5 red lights going out and the drivers going. But here we go, to 3 to 4 to 5 red lights ahead of the Emilia Romagna Grand Prix. It's lights out and away we go. And it's a good start for NRM. And a not so good start for his teammate Critch as Snipes and Jan get him. So Jan has made a mega start, getting 3 positions off the line. As Critch tries to hang it around the outside, but he doesn't pull it off. Snipes staring down his tailpipes. And we've got side by side between Loveland and Matthew towards the back. But they resolve that before they get to the Villeneuve chicane, which is the smart idea. Will we see any dive bombs into Tosa? Let's find out. No, we won't. Every driver playing it very smart here.
Yeah, very nice clean start from both sides. We see Square and Jan, I think, just swapping positions. Someone had an awful start. I think it was Critch in the Red Bull, completely bogged down. But everyone making it through Tamburello and Villeneuve nice and safely. So well done to both teams. We've seen a few crashes so far this weekend. But everyone making it through so far. Lap 1, no collisions. Hopefully that's not commentator's curse. We've got Loveland right on the back of Matthew. Surely not going to make a run down the inside into the outer chicane. Doesn't. A little bit squirrely there from James, who's going to get overtaken by his teammate Matthew. down in P7. We've got Snipes also on the back of Critch. He might go around the outside into Ravatsa. There's a little bit of a squeeze, there's a little bit of a wheel bang. Snipes is going to go around the outside. The Red Bull's got the inside line into the final corner, so just manages to stay ahead. A little bit dirty there, but Critch is onto the gravel. That's going to lose him some straight line speed down towards the Tamburello chicane. Snipes is going to be ahead of him, surely down into turn 1. Yes, ahead of him, so Critch's awful start gets even worse. He's now down into P5. Snipes up into P4. Got Loveland also right in the back of James. They're going to go side by side into the entrance of the Tamburello chicane. They're going to go 2 wide, and for the first time this week, I've seen 2 drivers go side by side into turn 1, and both of them have come out without one of them into the wall. So fair play to both James and Loveland. Loveland up into P8.
Importantly to note, from Critch's bad start is the DRS train has already been broken. Snipes is 1.1 behind Square. Obviously with the tyre advantage he might be able to catch that back up, but the DRS has been broken so far, and that's a warning for Snipes for sure, as he loses time through Piratella towards Square.
Yeah, just getting up the overlay for the predicted pit stop strategy. Apparently, according to the game, it's going to be a soft to hard or a medium to hard. So the game clearly thinking that a medium to soft isn't possible. I'm pretty sure someone has already done that this week, but we'll see what the drivers do. Let's get confirmation of the tyres that everyone else is on. So there you go, NRM and Jacob on the softs. Snipes, that might be why he had a really good start on the softs as well. Critch was getting bogged down on those mediums. So the medium runners, not a fantastic start from them. We've got Matthew and Loveland on the softs as well, having a really good start. D-Money down in last place on the hards, to be expected. He's going to be the slowest car out there. We have DRS enabled. Is anyone going to make any moves? Obviously, DRS isn't going to be active this lap. There's only one DRS zone around Imola, and that is down towards the Tamburello chicane. So not going to be active for anyone this lap. And as you said, we've already got gaps forming towards the top. We've got 1.2 seconds between Square, Snipes, and Critch. So I think that's just showing the softs having a little bit of an early advantage on those medium runners at the moment.
Well, saying that, but Snipes isn't really gaining on Square all too much, which, I mean, I don't know whether that's expected or not, but the softs should be making a gap up between the 2 drivers on raw pace.
Well, we'll keep an eye on that gap. We're also going to keep an eye on the gap between Square and Jacob. We saw that it was around about lap 13 to 14. We saw the softs blow up in the ERL SLR race last night. So surely drivers are going to try to maybe go around 8 to 9 laps on the softs. We have our first 3-second penalty for Crit. She's really not had a good start in that Red Bull down in P5 and picking up the first 3-second penalty of the day.
Yeah, maybe there's some potential for a double warning there, but that's really odd to be getting
such an early penalty. Yeah. So we're going to see Matthew overtake his teammate Easton down to the straight. He might even have enough space to get past Critch here. He's gaining on him dramatically. Is he going to make a late dive into Tamburello? Just not close enough. For a moment there, I thought he was going to try and hang it around the outside. But Critch doesn't get the best exit out of Tamburello, and we might actually see Matthew maybe try and get it down towards Villeneuve. Critch just covers him off for now and stays ahead. But Critch really struggling at the moment. A little bit of a snap of oversteer there.
No.
As well, not close enough to make a move into Tozer as well, but just maybe a little bit of a mini switchback there from Matthew. Still right on the back of Critch's gearbox, but not going to be close enough. I think he'll most likely bide his time or wait for a Critch mistake. Might have been a little bit of an extension there from Critch as well. Interestingly enough, that gap between Square on the mediums and Snipes has come down to around about 6/10, as we see another NRX driver pick up a 3 seconds penalty really early on into this race. It's not a great outer chicane from Snipes.
Bit of lag there for Adams. He's like all over the shop on my screen.
Let's have a look to see if he's lagging.
Yeah, he's got a bit of lag.
Well, he's on the back of James, so hopefully, yeah, there's a little bit of a squirm of lag there. But we've got a nice big train at the back here from Matthew down to Critch to Easton, really holding them all up. We're going to jump on board with Snipes just to see if he can maybe get the overtake done on the medium runner of Square.
We might get Easton here.
We've got an exchange in the lead. Jan has got taken the lead. Snipes isn't close enough to Square. Let's see what is happening behind us. We're going to see maybe Easton make a move on Critch. Not close enough this time. Loveland does the stamp on the brakes to make sure he doesn't hit the gearbox of the Williams car. But he's right on the back of Easton.
He's going to go for it to Villeneuve. This is very sketchy. Will they put it off? Easton backs out of it very cleverly there.
Yeah, Loveland getting it through. He's on the soft tyres. He's on the fast tyres. There's really no point Easton fighting Loveland too much early on in this race. His race is certainly going to come later on when he can slap on the faster tyres towards the end of the race. But Loveland's now going to chase down his teammate Critch, who surely should hold him up for too much longer. He's on the medium tyres. His race is going to come later on. Snipes is right on the back of Square now. The gap was around about 1.1 seconds 2 laps ago. It's now just 3/10.
Really low on ERS. As usually the backhand out of back of Minerali. He might just let Loveland go here out of Varianti Alta because Loveland's got more pace and more ERS.
Yeah, I think he's just going to let him go into Rabatza, surely.
It looks like he's trying to.
I think they might be waiting for... Yes, I think they were waiting for the DRS detection zone so Loveland could get DRS. So I think that's quite a smart play. But we're going to jump back on board with Snipes. He's a lot closer to Square now. Is he going to be close enough to make a move down into Tamburello to make a move for P3 for the final podium position? He's got a lot of pace. He's going to take the inside or outside. He's going to go down the inside, almost getting onto the grass there. They're going to go side by side into Tamburello. Forced onto the sausage curb and Square is round. Well, we were saying it's always dangerous going side by side into Tamburello. That it usually has one car coming worse off, and it is Square. It was a little bit of squeeze. He got pushed onto the sausage curb, spun around. That one we'll have to look at towards the end of the race. Was there enough space left for Square to make it through with Snipes overtaking it? But Snipes is through and Square is all the way down into P11. Not ideal at all for NRX.
I have just clipped that just in case. I remember vaguely I was looking backwards from Snipes, so...
Yeah, we'll have to see what's going on there. Meanwhile, this train sort of from P5 down to P9 is getting even closer. We have our first CSR car, Zach, picking up a 3-second penalty. But this is the fight we're going to watch. Look at the absolute train of cars at the moment. Yeah, NRX Adams is quite lagging a little bit. He's ghosting around and we can see him just jittering about. So hopefully that doesn't impede anyone else. Square has got past Zach, who has spun around. I don't know if he lost it out of Alta or he maybe came together with Square. But Zach has spun. He's now down into last place. As we see a big snap of oversteer there from Adams. But let's jump on board with Critch. He's going to have DRS from his teammate, but it's not going to be enough though, because here comes Easton. He's burning ERS down the straight. They're going to go side by side into Tamburello. A little bit of a squeeze there from Critch. Is Easton going to try and hang it around the inside? There's very, very nice defending there from Critch, who can hold P6. James and Adams fighting down in P9 as well. But this train continues. Easton still right on the back of Critch. Has to stamp on the brakes there to avoid hitting the gearbox of the Red Bull driver. Loveland just trying to build a gap now as well on those soft tyres.
I think Critch struggling. It's just down to his pace because it's sliding out of turn 3. And Easton's just got much more pace on the same tyres. Same can be said for some of the cars behind maybe, but like he's just got little to no pace on his mediums. There's a yellow flag for Zach again.
Ooh, and Easton having a little bit of a snap of oversteer at the exit there. But you'd have to say, and it's quite obvious to see on the racing director, that the softs having that early advantage. All of the drivers who started on the softs into the top 5, then you've got that cluster of medium drivers who are so close together, showing that they've got really similar pace. I think Critch is just getting helped out the fact that he's got DRS from his teammate Loveland ahead, but surely he's not going to be able to stay within that for much longer, especially with Loveland most likely coming into pit in the next couple of laps. But it should be around about the next few laps where these mediums come into play and should start to lap a little bit faster than the soft tyres ahead.
Adams going from James into Tamburello. Will we see them both survive? James has gone the curb, but they do make it.
It's a very, very nice move from Adams, who is lagging a little bit, but doesn't get the best exit. And yeah, a little bit of ghost in there. Don't know what's going on with their connection. Luckily, it doesn't involve any collisions. I don't think the AlphaTauri picked up damage. It looked like he hit him, but I think the Alpine just ghosted in time. So that's nice for James to make sure that he hasn't got any damage.
The previous Alpine versus AlphaTauri little scrap, the winner of the battle has not accidentally spun the loser of the battle. So much clearer there than with Square and Snipes.
So not taking into account any...
Oh, and Easton's round! Easton's round out of Aqua Minerale.
Well, I was going to say, we were on board with Easton last lap, and he lost his back end out of Aqua Minerale, and he's just clearly had a much bigger snap, and he is round. Has he got damage? I think he's avoided damage, which is luckily enough for him. But those medium tyres are going to be screaming as well. Meanwhile, it was James who picked up a 3-second penalty, but not ideal at all for CSR. Easton was one of their drivers who was showing a lot of pace around this track, but he's now down in P11 after a spin out of the exit of Aqua Minerale.
Maitland, if you're lucky, your tenner is safe.
Oh, did you have a bet on for a tenner?
Well, my prediction, right? Well, Maitland said in chat, if Easton wins, I'll pass you a tenner, Aiden, as James gets back past Adams. And
yeah, it's a little bit of a scrap there. I don't know what's going on. Adams is lagging all over the place. It looks like he keeps hitting the back of him, but clearly not. hasn't got any damage. But yeah, Adam's internet connection not exactly helping out there. They've got another yellow flag, I think. D Money on the hards. I think it's had a little bit of a trip into the gravel from the looks of his hard tyres. Not ideal. We have our first 3-second penalty for one of the top boys on the softs. That is Snipes with a 3-second penalty.
Both got 3 second there.
So our 3-second penalties are starting to build up 9 laps into the race. Surely we're going to see some of the front runners on the softs come in the next couple of laps. I was going to say before the collision that it's not exactly worst case scenario for CSR. They've got 2 drivers in the top 4. Obviously, they're not going to win the race as it stays like this, but they're going to still pick up some good points. And, you know, every point matters in the format that we run here at BFE. So, are we going to see any takers for an early pit stop? All of the soft runners staying out at the moment. Critch is still within DRS range of his teammate Loveland as well. Yeah, I think James maybe got caught up with the spin of Eastern, or he just had a little bit of a track extension moment when he picked up that 3-second penalty, but he's dropped right back off the pace of Critch. So maybe Critch has just finally found his feet around this circuit, or he's really getting helped out by getting pulled along by his teammate Loveland up in P5. Adams is still right on the back of James as well, as the battle of the lag between the Alpine and the AlphaTauri continues down in P7. We've also got Matthew on the back of his teammate Snipes up into P3. Could we see a swap between these two if Matthew's shown a little bit more pace on these soft tyres? But surely, as I keep saying the last few laps, that we're going to see some of these soft runners. Snipes goes wide.
Not up round, but yeah, he's off.
Whether that was intentional or not, it looked like he sort of missed his braking zone through Aqua Minerale. There's another yellow flag. There's a spin. It's for Critch. As I was saying, commentator's curse. I thought he was finding his feet after 10 laps of this race, but he's had another spin out of Aqua Minerale. So Critch down into P9, really struggling now out of the exit of Outer. So he's down into P9. We've got another spin. This race has got a little bit better for CSR then, with another NRX driver dropping towards the back of the grid. We've got no soft runners into the pit, so they're really looking to extend, maybe to do a soft medium strategy. But as I said, it was around about lap 13 to 14 where the softs started to blow up in yesterday's race between ERL and SLR. So they've got to be careful that they time the pit stops absolutely perfectly. Loveland's got to be careful as well, because he's going to share a pit box with Jan, who's currently in P1. So they're going to have to split their strategy. Who's going to come in early, who's going to come in late. And speaking of Loveland, he might have picked up a warning for a track extension out of the Villeneuve chicane as well.
Take a look, if you so wish.
Square has recovered from his earlier spin as Matthew, CSR driver up in P3, picks up a 3-second penalty. So Square has recovered from that turn 1 collision with Snipes down at Tamburello. He's right on the back of his Alpine teammate Adams. I don't think Adams is going to help him out, lagging all over the place there. NRX Adams. He hasn't managed to get past James as of yet, so he might just get out of the way and allow Square to have a go, who's surely shown a lot more pace than his teammate. A little bit of a disconnection there.
Yeah, well, I'm going to be everyone's favourite Ted Kravitz there. So, Jan, no warning, save for NRM. Matthew has a penalty. So does Snipes, has 2 more warnings after that. Loveland with 1 warning from that Villeneuve chicane on that last lap. James with maybe 1 further warning after his penalty. Adams looking like 1 or 2 further warnings after his penalty. Square does not have a penalty whatsoever, but invalidated lap time on lap 3. That's odd. Critch with 2 warnings by the looks of things after his penalty. Easton with maybe a warning after his penalty as well. Demon with 2 warnings, and Zach with a penalty and an extra warning.
Right, so we've had some of our soft runners into the pits going for the mediums. We've also had Critch come in. He had that spin on the mediums. He's gone onto the hards. So he'll look to take those to the end of the race. And as we predicted, those guys extending those softs to try and take the mediums to the end of the race. But Critch now, after that pit stop, down in last place. Matthew and Loveland have stayed out. Loveland had to stay out to avoid sharing a pit box with Jan. That would have cost him loads of time. But surely we're going to see the front 2 come into the pits this lap and most likely put on those medium tyres. So the soft runners doing around 11 laps on those softs, so we'll probably see the medium runners come in towards lap 21 by that. They might maybe even extend them a little bit longer just to have those life of the softs last a little bit longer. Loveland is going long on the softs. Matthew is into the pits. He's going to put on those medium tyres, but Loveland is going long as we see Square He got past his teammate Adams, and now he's getting past the AlphaTauri of James down into Tamburello. He's not going to be side by side this time with a CSR driver. He's got the move done before the corner and up into P2. Let's see where Matthew comes out. He's going to be behind NRM. Is he going to be behind his teammate D-Money? He is. And also going to be behind Snipes. So the undercut has worked for Snipes. He's now gained almost 1.6 seconds, roughly, or around about 1.4 actually, on his teammates. So they're going to have a mega stint on the mediums with the runners ahead of them. Let's have a look at the gap to the leader so we can roughly figure out where... That's the wrong one. That's the one I wanted. So
it looks like...
What's the pit stop? Around about 21 seconds? 21, 22 seconds?
It's actually between 21 and 29.
Wow, so...
It's like, the pit lane is very long compared to the high speed of the main straight, so it can be a really long exchange time.
Yeah, so looking at that then, so if Loveland chooses to pit now, which surely he's going to do with the likes of the mediums runners again, so he's going to come into the pit, so he'll maybe come around behind Snipes, I would predict. So Square sets the fastest lap of the race on 13 lap old mediums, so that shows the mediums are right into the race now, into their prime time. Loveland onto the mediums. So Square takes the lead of the race from James to Adams. Easton is through. We've got a yellow flag at the back. There's a spin. I think that's for Zach. Oh, no, it's for D-Money on the hards. So the driver who was opting for the long strategy on the hards, that strategy has pretty much been ruined after 2 collisions and spins for the McLarens. Loveland does come out behind Matthew, so he's going to have to put his foot down to catch up with the 2 CSR drivers ahead of them. James is still within DRS range of Square at the moment. It's very, very close though, 9/10. He's going to want to stay within that gap. There's another yellow flag. I think that might have been a Mercedes. It might have been actually Loveland who dipped the wheel into the gravel, but he's still going, luckily for him. The Square really squirrely out of outer actually. He's lost a heap of time to James behind. He actually lost about 2.5 tenths through the outer chicane.
James also has the ERS in the bag compared to Square.
Yeah, Square's been burning a lot of ERS. It's just down to, does James choose to burn it to try and get past Square? The gap is around about 7/10. He's going to have to burn some ERS to get the move done, I think. He's not going to use any ERS. Is it going to be enough? He's gaining on Square dramatically. Are they going to go side by side into Tamburello? Is he going to go down the inside? He's just going to hang on. But yeah, as we said, if he would have burnt some ERS, he probably would have made the move on Square. As we see Jan get past Easton for P4. Having a look at ERS between these two, fairly similar. Easton just holding a little bit more in the tank compared to the Mercedes. As we see, ooh, Easton going a little bit wide there, just managing to avoid the gravel. Loveland is into the pits. Did he pick up damage? He picked up damage. I think he might have hit the wall. We saw that there was a yellow flag in the first sector. I thought he dipped the wheel into the gravel. He might have actually hit the wall and carried on going. But he's gone for a front wing change, unless he had damage and the team didn't change his front wing when he requested him to. But that's going to put Loveland practically in last place. He's going to need an absolutely mega drive.
But James now has a massive opportunity to get past Square. He's literally right on his rear end. Even without ERS, he will be able to get this, but he will use a bit of ERS before the DRS line. He opens the DRS, turns off the ERS, and now he's going to just sit in the slipstream with the DRS wide open. He's going to come down in towards the kink in the straight. He's in front before the Tamburello chicane. And that was easy pickings for James there.
Yeah, James into the lead. We have our first leader of the race being a CSR driver. Square's just got to stick with him. We could see what we've seen for the past couple of races where the leader of the race exchanges hands almost every single lap because of that strong DRS zone down towards turn 1 down the pit lane straight. Let's do a quick double check. Fastest lap currently held by NRX Square. Let's have a look at our penalties. Adams is on 6 seconds. James is on 3 seconds though, so Square can just stay within that 3-second range for the rest of the race. He will be okay. We've got Easton on 3 seconds. Snipes is on 6 seconds. Loveland just picked up a 3-second penalty. Matthews on 3. Critch on 3. Zach is on 3. So almost the entire grid, bar 4, have track extension penalties.
Interesting note that even though I invited him back, Zach has still not joined the lobby.
Okay. Oh, did Zach lag out?
I
completely missed that.
Either he left, either he rage quit or he disconnected. but he isn't back either way.
Interestingly enough, so I'm sure that will be something that we'll find out towards the end of the race.
Yeah, for sure.
So, will Square get the lead back? James actually dropped him a little bit. It was around about 6/10. Remember, it was around about 7/10, and James wasn't close enough without ERS. Square is running dangerously low on ERS, and he's not going to be close enough, so James is actually going to hold the lead of the race at the moment. But this is the closest battle. There's some major gaps growing. We've got 7.5 seconds is the gap between Adams and Jan at the moment in P4. Obviously, Jan has pitted. The front three is still yet to pit. Easton needs to pit. D-Money needs to pit. And also Zach needs to pit, but obviously he's out of the race, so I think pretty much the bottom two is set and secured to be Zach and Loveland unless there's any crazy ending to this race. Haven't had a safety car yet, so I think Loveland probably holding out for a safety car to get himself back into this race. As we see, there's a move there. Or D-Money's into the gravel.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
So not a good time from the McLaren. Square has left the race.
Is that a disconnection?
Do you want to invite him back? Hopefully he comes back in.
Yeah, I think his game crashed because his profile says F on 2021, so I think his game crashed.
So not ideal from Squares. He's dropped right back from James now. Adams is going to take that back. He's going dangerously low, slow. Okay, no, the AI, I was just checking. The AI was going really slowly, so I was just checking to see that the lobby was set up properly. The lobby is set up correctly, so Square, all that work that he done to stay within the gearbox of James has gone right out the window, as James has got a massive advantage now, 3 seconds. As Adams goes through, he'll be up into P2. So hopefully Square comes back soon so he can pick up the pace and get back into this race.
Yeah, I'll keep an eye on Square. He
Square
is back.
is back. That is good. Meanwhile, let's jump back on board with NRM in the Red Bull car on the back of Easton. This is the fight for P5. Easton has got that penalty. NRM showing a little bit more pace, so that this might be a move that we see down the pit lane straight. It's going to be around about in the next 2 or 3 laps. We're going to see those medium runners who haven't pit yet come in for the soft tyres.
So I was just laughing at chat. Smates just said, Square DDoS by Snipes.
As Square's already been hit by Snipes once, and now Snipes has just returned the favour and absolutely binned his Xbox. Apparently Square said his Xbox started to shut off randomly this week. That's not healthy.
When Square, speaking of him, he's off in the gravel, nearly in the wall out of Ravazza 2.
We have our first medium runners into the pits. This is very early for the soft tyres. If he's going to make them last, yeah, it's onto the softs. A very, very early move. Here's NRM making the move on Easton. As predicted, NRM is through up into P4. Where will Adams come out on the soft tyres? Is he going to come out? Yeah, he's going to be well ahead of Critch. So he'll come out in P8 on the soft tyres. So lots of overtaking for Adams to do to get back up.
Somebody in the chat called AMS Manager says NRX Adam going to get a disqualification for his internet, lol.
Yeah, his internet hasn't been great. It's obviously just down to if it's been hindering any other drivers. Obviously, a great onboard to see this race will be James. He was fighting with Adams for a lot of this race, so I'm sure that will be one that will be pointed out to stewards at the end of the race.
I'm just going to look at the gap to the leader, and it looks like James will come out around Adams, like maybe like 2-3 seconds in front. But he's going to be nearly 10 seconds off of Matthew, his CSR teammate.
Well, Jan's had an absolutely mega stint and just a mega race so far, as James does come into the pits. He was 7.7 seconds back from James, who hadn't pit, so Jan is going to lead the race. Square is behind him, so he's managed to recover that time that he lost through the disconnect. NRM is through up into P3. Easton still needs to pit in P4. Where is James going to come out? Is he going to come ahead of his teammate in the Williams? Nope, it's going to be, might be a little bit close maybe between the LPs. We're going to see him around the back there. So yep, so James into
and
P7.
as I predicted, about 2 seconds. No, that's not even more. That's like 5. No, yeah, it's 2 or 3 seconds. Okay, that's just me confusing myself. Thank you, Matty, by the way. Easy problems with me there. Anyway, We see Easton 8 tenths behind NRM, but Easton has not hit yet. His tyre's looking pretty grained, but he's holding out to help his soft stick be better. Maybe he'll box his lap. There's nothing on the HUD to imply so.
Square is absolutely burning his ERS. He's now down to 2% ERS. Obviously, he's going to get a nice chunk of it back when he pits.
Yeah, but when he came out of AI, he was on like 45. So he's burned that all on his inlet.
He's wanted to burn that, most likely to just regain that time he lost when he was disconnected. But he comes into the pits. Easton's going to follow him in as well. So we're just waiting on a pit stop from D-Money, and now everyone has served their mandatory pit stops. Obviously, we're going to see Square and Easton onto the soft compound tyres. As Adams sets the fastest lap of the time of the race, on the soft tyres. So we're going to the main one to keep an eye on is the gap between Matthew and James. There's a yellow flag. There's a Red Bull. I think that's Critch. That's had a spin out of the exit of Ravazza. It's been an absolutely awful race from Critch. He's going to be hitting himself up without that. Not been a good race after that awful start. And he's I think his second spin of the race so far.
Aren't going to be very happy.
Not going to be happy at all. Well, they might be happy if they still win this race. But as we said, pit stops have been served. These are your stands at the moment. So we've got Jan and NRM 1-2 for NRX. We've got Snipes and Matthew P3 and P4. James in P5. So 3-4-5 for CSR, not too bad. And bear in mind that the leader of the soft sort of team at the moment is a CSR driver. But he has got Adams and Square behind him. I'm sure he's going to put the pressure on.
He went into the barrier there. That was a nice catch from Critch. I was just riding off all of them. He lost it massively out of Tosa.
Critch almost into the barrier, but just hanging on. He's obviously down in 9th at the moment. Doesn't want to give CSR any more points with D-Money behind him on the hard compound tyre as well. James sets the fastest lap of the race. It's a 16.1, and that gap has come down. It was around about 4.5 seconds last lap. It's now 3.6. The soft runner gained about 9 tenths on his teammate on the mediums ahead. So with 10 laps to go in this race, it's going to get close.
Although it will only make a 1 point difference, D-Money is yet to stop, so 11 will get in front of him. And I'm going to take a look at penalties here. And Adams will drop. He'll drop behind Square. Square won't jump James. Snipes will get beaten by Matthew as it stands. Yeah, just looking at the results of the penalties as predicted, Lovely is in front of D-Money.
Oh, James has picked up another 3-second penalty. That could be crucial because now Square will jump him. I think this is a great opportunity for CSR to get some really good points and maybe even win this race. They just need to stay penalty free because at the moment the top two look set and secure with no penalties and nice gaps between them. And with that cluster of CSR drivers behind them, they just need to stay penalty free and stay clean. And they could be on for some really nice points.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they've got a 3, 4, 5, 8, 9 right now. I'm not sure if that quite outscores NRX so far, but it's close. It's definitely close.
Right, so it's about that time we're going to have the real F1 on in the background as well. There's been a spin. NRX Adams has had a spin. Out of Villeneuve chicane. Square has gone through, so that's not ideal at all for Adams. As we were talking about here, getting all squirrely, those soft tyres are going to be absolutely heated up. We're saying that it's a great opportunity for CSR to get some really good points.
And now Easton's going to be on the back of them with DRS.
Yep, Easton is within DRS as Snipes picks up another 3-second penalty. That's what I mean. CSR just need to stay penalty free. They've got a really good chance of picking up some really good points against what many people tip to be one of the favourites to actually win this season of BFE and NRX. But we're in for an interesting last 8 laps. See Easton right on the back of Adams now, who's going to be struggling on those hot up soft tyres.
As I now open up the qualifying on my phone.
Yep, I've got qualified up on my phone as well. We'll keep an eye on both. I'm going to rest that against my controller. There we go.
I've rested against my second monitor.
No, yes, we get it. We get it. You have a dual monitor setup, okay? We get it. So Easton gets past Adam up into P7. I think that was quite an easy move. A little bit of a lag there from Adams. I thought he was going to go straight into the back of him. But Easton up into P7 after that mistake from Adams. He's going to allow to look to chase down Square, who is 8.5 seconds back from James. That gap seems a lot bigger than what it was. Has Square maybe had a moment?
Maybe, but also he wouldn't have been helped out by the fact Adams spun.
True, he might have had to slow down to avoid maybe hitting the back of it.
It was a similar gap. He maybe lost 1.5 to 2 seconds, but nothing awful.
Well, James is now within DRS of his teammate, who isn't going to hold him up at all. So it's going to be down to James to chase down the top two. He's also got Snipes ahead of him in P3 as well. But he has got those penalties, remember. So I think if I'm James, I'm just trying to keep it clean, not pick up any penalties. You've got Square behind you who hasn't got any penalties, but he's 8 seconds back, and he has 6 seconds at the moment. So it's absolutely crucial that he doesn't pick up another 3-second penalty, as Matthew's going to let him by there up into P4.
Yeah, smart decision. James Spears got the pace right now. Marty T. Bear has put a prediction that James Spears is going to win. It can be difficult to find the 10 seconds he needs in the last 7 laps, but we'll see what happens. As Loveland picks up another time penalty that puts him nearly under threat from D Money to steal that last point from him. As we'll see Adams still close to Easton after Easton passed him. Those two heading down into Tota right now, I believe. But other than that, there's not all too much currently.
Yeah, nothing too much happening at the moment. I think the drama is going to be towards the last few laps as James starts to close in on his teammate Snipes. Is he going to try and reduce that gap to the front two? He has got those penalties. Remember, I think unless there's going to be any late drama in this race, as Easton's off, Easton's in the wall. Speaking of late drama, he's absolutely lost it.
Be a safety car.
Safety car. There's a safety car.
My god.
Just as we were saying, unless anything dramatic happens, talk about commentator's curse. I caught that perfectly on the stream as Easton loses it on the exit and into the wall. The safety car is out. This is absolutely perfect for those back three.
Stopped, but KVS and Snipes have.
Jan has stayed out. James B has stayed out. NRM has pitted. Snipes has pitted. Matthew has pitted. Square. Everyone is opting for those fresh soft tyres. Jan is going to stay out on the mediums. Is that a bad decision? Everyone behind him is going to be on the soft tyres.
Maybe he slightly missed the pit lane. Maybe the safety car came out just as he passed the entrance.
Maybe, but I think that's absolutely ruined Jan's race. Because surely, as Easton has left, he's rage quit that after losing it. Surely Jan's just going to be a sitting duck for pretty much everyone behind him who's on fresh soft tyres. And now, with the field nice and gathered up, penalties are going to play an even bigger part in the final running of this race. I can't call this now.
Neither, but those CSR penalties will definitely affect them massively now.
Yeah, you got those front three CSR drivers all with penalties, which isn't going to help. Maybe that's what Jan is playing into account as well. The fact that those behind him have got penalties, so even if he gets overtaken him, you can just stay within DRS and stay within those penalty windows. He'll be okay. The safety car should stay out for another lap, maybe even 2, so the field gets all bundled up again. D Money has still got pretty much the entire lap to catch up, so the safety car could be out for 1, maybe even 2 more laps.
And Jan's in the pit lane.
So Jan has come in. So maybe it was down to the fact that he missed the pit lane entry when the safety car came out. So where is he going to come out? He's going to come out behind Square, down in P6. So at the moment, James is leading the race from NRM to Snipes to Matthew to Square to Jan to Adams to Critch to Loveland to D Money to Zach to Easton. As we see Adams actually slowing down to make sure he doesn't actually get ahead of Jan. Maybe that's just a play on penalties or just accepting that Jan might have a little bit more pace. And let's just get confirmation of those penalties. So not ideal for James, Snipes or Matthew. You would have to say, if CSR didn't have these penalties, they're in a great position to win this race on paper. But it might be those penalties, especially that 9 seconds of Snipes and especially that 6 seconds of James, might actually cost them the win of this race.
We've got Ceasar saying Jacob in the mud.
Jacob, well, don't write him out yet. The safety car, I think, should come in this lap. I think Critch and Loveland are going to catch up in time. Whether the safety car will wait for D-Money to catch up. I know Zach is... Yeah, Zach's down in... He's up in P2 at the moment, but he's obviously... Hopefully, Cody's are going to let him overtake the safety car when it comes in so he can start unlapping himself.
Wait, Zach, do you mean? Did you say Zach?
Yeah, Zach.
Not Zach listening. Well, it's an AI, so...
Oh, he's in a... Do you know what? I keep forgetting that Zach's not in the race. Okay, never mind. Take Zach out. He's in P11 anyway. So yeah, safety car is going to stay out for one more lap, which means we will get it's about 3 or 4 laps of green flag racing, hopefully. Which means once again we're going to see drivers go side by side down towards Tamburello. We've seen it happen already once today between Snipes and Square, with Square coming off worse, but he's had a really nice recovery drive up into P5. Everyone on the soft tyres, so it's now going to be an all-out sprint race for the final laps of this race. Penalties will play a huge part with the grid all grouped up again, and currently penalties favouring NRX more, with the top 3 CSR drivers in 1st, 3rd and 4th all with penalties. So it's looking good for NRX.
Easton, if I was to say, sorry, Jay, if I was to say Easton and Aqua Minerale, what would you expect happened?
Eastern Aqua Minerale wall.
Yeah.
Pretty much is the best way to put it.
I mean, Toby's put it as Easton turned left. So...
Also, spare a fucking thought for the Hasses. Kimi Räikkönen 2.4 seconds than Mick Schumacher.
Oh my god, I've just seen that. It's so small on my phone.
Absolutely incredible. This is the great thing about having F1 on in the evening, is when nothing's happening in the race, you can just watch qualifying.
We just back it up with F1.
As I'm sure everyone else is. Also, we've had a dip in followers and a dip in viewers as well. We're averaging about 45 to 55. F1 has started. We're down to 37. People have already dipped to watch qualifying, and I don't blame you at all. But there is 4 laps of racing left, so nothing is going to happen
And the safety car is here.
too dramatically in Q1 of F1 in real life, but you never know what can happen in the final laps of this race. So stay tuned with us for the next 5 or 6 minutes to see how this race finishes.
DRS, if my counting is correct, will be enabled on lap 31 of this race.
So we're going to get 2 laps of green flag racing with DRS. How early or late is James going to go? I'm actually going to turn on telemetry to see when he's going to put that foot down. Is he going to do it mid through Ravazza, or is he going to wait right towards the end? He's going to absolutely wait. Snipes got a 5-second penalty.
Oh, what a restart! And
Snipes has hit the back of NRM and picked up a 5-second penalty. Has NRM also picked up a 5-second penalty?
No. Yes, he has. Right.
So Snipes has 14 seconds worth of penalties. So that's going to be something that's going to be sent to the stewards. As Matthews up into P3, so a decent getaway from James in P1. Snipes is going to be under pressure from Square. He might have damage, because he's really struggling. As Square looking to go around the outside, running out of room there. Look to hang it around the outside. Not enough room on the racetrack. Jan's just having to pull back as well. It's all going off towards the middle. Got to make sure not to hit the back of the gearbox of anyone.
DRS. Maybe he just lost some momentum. Sorry, damage, I mean. Doesn't look like he has damage, but he might have really light green damage, which is a pain to see. As Square tries to go around the outside of Varianti Outer, he has to back out of that one. There's 2 cars into there, ends in death.
Yeah, but he's got a much better run out of Outer. Is he going to try and make a move into Ravazza? Obviously, no DRS as of yet. So is he going to try and hang it round the outside? Snipes just covers him off for now. No DRS down the straight, but they're all going to have similar ERS. Both of them turn on their ERS out of the exit. Square's going to have that drag down towards Tamburello. Is he going to be close enough to make a move? There's already a gap between Snipes and Matthew Connerbeer forming, but here comes Square. We've already seen these two come together through Tamburello. Are they going to go side by side again? Square's just going to buy this time and maybe try and get him on the exit of Tamburello down towards the Villeneuve chicane. He's right on the back of him. Is he going to try and take a dive down the inside? No, Snipes is just going to stay ahead of him for now.
Oh shit, Q1 red flag for Lance Stroll.
Yeah, Lance Stroll has absolutely binned it in Q1. Lance Stroll gonna Lance Stroll.
He's starting from the back anyway, that's a waste of time. Square is still on the back here.
We've got NRM who's closed in on James B as well. Matthew is also on the back of NRX. Got to remember that the top 4 all have penalties. Whether that 5 seconds for NRM will stay, that was after the collision under the safety car. We'll have to see whose fault that was. At the moment, Square is leading the race. It's going to be a 1-2 for NRX with Square and Jan the only drivers in the top 9 not to have any penalties.
Anyway, on the Lance Stroll crash, it was really weird. He just lost the rear end through the final corner. And just dropped it.
It's good to see that Lance Stroll is okay though.
Yep.
Always fantastic to see as he's getting out of the car now. But DRS is enabled.
Here comes Square. He won't have the DRS because of there's only one. The next lap will be the only DRS lap. Yaz gonna look for it as well on Snipes. Down into turn 1, he's on the outside, he's getting squeezed a little bit, he has to back off of that one.
So Square is through
and
from
Critch
Snipes.
Is off.
Critch is off again.
He is off, and D-Money's got in front of him.
So Nightmare Race from Critch continues. There's also Adams on the back of Jan, who for a moment I thought was going to try and go around the outside of Tozer. Just manages to hang it back for now. But we're going to see some scrappy fighting in the final lap of this race, lap 31 of 32. We've also got gaps of just half a second separating the top 3 cars. Obviously, these are all going to be decided through penalties, but who knows what's going to happen with NRM's penalty. So he's going to want to try and build up a gap as well.
Imagine the scenes if Matthew goes down the inside and they make contact and NRM goes off into the gravel. Like, imagine the drama.
One more lap to go. Our driver's going to put their car on the line. Are they going to try and put their team's chances of winning the race on the line to get 1 or 2 positions? Penalties are going to play a huge part as we cross the line now. It's the final lap of the race. We're going to be on board with NRM. Is he going to make a move for the provisional lead of the race? He's going to go side by side with James. Is James going to fight it? NRM has got the move done for now. James also is going to let Matthew through, so NRM is through into the lead of the race. Square has got past Snipes. Jan's not close enough. NRX Adams is still on the back of Jan. No one making any dangerous moves in to Tamburello. I forgot the name of it for a second. Jan on the back of Snipes. Is he going to try and go around the outside of Tozer looking for the switchback?
Doesn't quite get it.
Doesn't quite get it. We're running out of overtaking opportunities for the rest of this race so far. We're halfway through the final lap of the race. Jan almost hitting the back.
There's only really 2 more opportunities, unless someone's feeling brave into Aqua Minerale, which I doubt they are.
Yeah,
so
no, Snipes staying ahead.
And the 2 Ravatsas left.
Adams picks up another 3-second penalty. I think we might be looking at our final racing provisional finishes, but obviously we're going to see this grid.
Run! Jan's going to run on Snipes. Down into Ravatsa, there's a little bit of contact, a little bit of wheel banging. Jan is almost off the circuit and he's held it together.
But NRM is going to cross the line as the provisional race winner of this race. He wins. Matthew's going at Square. Wins the race on penalties. Followed by Jan. Matthew P3. NRM P4. James B P5. Loveland recovers to P6. Adams P7. Snipes, who was fighting for a podium pretty much the entire race, down in P8. Critch P9. D-Money in P10. I'm pretty sure that gives NRX the win.
It does, but I have got the old calculator out already. Count this up. So just wait for the final results to come through.
I think some contacts and some penalties will definitely be sent to the stewards. It looked a little bit ropey for a couple of laps for NRX after a few spins and collisions.
12, 8.
But here is your final rundown. So Square wins the race from P2 on the grid. He wins, also gets fastest lap, so a perfect race for Square. Jan makes it a 1-2 for NRX. Matthew Conabeer, the top of the CSR drivers in P3. NRM P4. James B P5. Loveland, great recovery from him. Started P10 as well, even after the spin. He finished P6. Adams in P7. Snipes, disappointing race for him. He picked up all those penalties, including that 5-second penalty under safety car, which I'm sure will be sent to the stewards. He finished P8. Critch, probably a race to forget from him, but he still picks up 2 points for NRX down in P9. D-Money, who spent pretty much the entire race at the back of the grid, picks up the final point for CSR. Zach, who was disconnected for pretty much half of the race, finishes P11, and Easton was a DNF. He dropped it out of Aqua Minerale and into the wall, which brought out the late safety car. He finishes in P12. Have we got a a points tally.
Yes, 72 to 30, NRX's favour.
So that's 72 to 30 provisionally before Stewards. But that is the end of the first round of racing in the knockout groups. We're going to have fixtures coming your way hopefully in the next week and a bit for round 2. We have early advantages for AMS, Decorus, NRX and SLR before Stewarding. Stewarding should be out on Monday, followed by the Team ELO rating update 2 should be out on the Tuesday as well to look forward to. We're going to see some big jumps and some big drops from some teams over the last couple of weeks of racing. But thank you for joining me, mate. Been a really good race.
Been a pleasure.
And we'll hopefully see you all next week for some more incredible racing around Portimao. We'll see you guys later.